I recently got a request for a Psoas release video, so here it is. We won't be using any equipment and I'm guiding you through. The psoas muscle is one of the most significant because it attaches to the spine and wraps around the hips. So if you have a lot of tension in your psoas, you may find you have back or hip pain. So releasing that tension may help relieve some of that pain. That said, this kind of release work is really complemented by doing strengthening work, so be sure to check out some of my hip strengthening workouts. Now let's get to it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click the bell for notifications, like this video, share it with your friends and family, and be sure to come back to my channel for more of these great tips. So I had a request for a psoas release video, and I've decided to make a couple of them. This first one is all about self-release with no equipment, because sometimes we just don't have another person or any equipment available for us, but there are still options. So first move, I'm going to come down onto the ground, and depending on how tight and how limited your mobility is, you can do a baby cobra. Hands are down, elbows are down on the ground, legs are long. You're thinking about pressing your hips into the ground. So you want to think about keeping this down as you gently lift your chest up, right? Thinking shoulders packed down. I would probably say to stay here for at least 30 seconds, but rather than timing myself, I have a tendency to just focus on my breath because it helps me release more. So I like to think about 3 to 5 breaths. And every exhale, I can think about pushing my shoulders down and away from my ears again. Push my hips into the floor. Hello, bitty kitty. One more breath here. And lower down. If you ever need a break, you can always just lower down and come back again into this position, right? So I would say doing this movement 3 to 5 times for 3 to 5 breaths each time if you can. If you don't feel like that is much of a release, you can always move your hands to about in line with your chest and aim for a full cobra. Thinking about turning those elbow pits forward, shoulders pressing back. You're still squeezing your glutes, trying to press your hips down into the ground. Yeah, one more breath here. And then gently lower down. So this may seem like a simple movement, but it really depends on where you're at on any given day. That could be a lot for you. If it's not, I have another option. We're going to actually use a wall and bring your legs. You could use a doorway, a wall, a couch, kind of whatever you have. And I'm pressing my knees all the way against the wall, coming down onto the ground. So your feet are up in the air. They can be about hip width apart. And again, now my feet are elevated. I'm a little bit more limited in how far I can go. So coming on to that cobra position, right? The baby cobra first, see how this feels. Pressing your hips down, you may feel more of a release here. Always remembering to breathe, because it's really in that exhale that you're going to feel the release, right? So it's always so important to recognize whether or not I'm holding my breath. Right? Yes, good girl. And then gently come down. Again, if that doesn't feel like much, you can aim for a cobra, right? You may not go as far as you could if your legs were down. That's okay. This is pretty intense, right? So thinking about keeping those elbows tucked in, shoulders packed down, and breathe. One more breath. And lower down. Whew. Whew. Shake that out. So that is a nice way to add intensity to the movement. Next, we're going to do, it's usually called the couch stretch because people use the couch or a wall, as I will be doing, as another form of releasing the hip flexors, which is a great option because when the psoas is tight, it has a tendency to hit all of those other muscles around, and you need to relax some of those more surface muscles to be able to get in deep enough to really get to the release of the psoas. So I'm going to show you the couch stretch, but on a chair first, just so that you have an option if you struggle with getting down on your knees. So I'm going to be standing next to the chair. My left leg comes forward. Make sure you have the chair up against a wall or something so that when you press forward, it's not going to move. First and foremost, the most important thing about the couch stretch, you could do this also half kneeling. So I'll start with half kneeling so you can see it. Right, when you're in this position, the most important thing is, you see this little bit of arch in my back, I want to squeeze my glutes, get that posterior, anterior pelvic tilt, right, going here, and press forward. Push, push, push. So you really feel the hip flexor tightening. And getting a little release. You can relax and go again. Posterior pelvic tilt, press forward. Because I am squeezing my glutes and have this posterior pelvic tilt, I'm not going to go as deep into this half kneeling stretch as I would if I didn't, right? So if I don't, I can go pretty deep. And it looks like, oh, wow, yeah, okay. But you don't feel anything in this hip flexor. So that's not the point. Tuck, and you only have to go as far as you feel it, right? So we're gonna do the same basic thing, but standing in case you have any knee issues. So same basic option, I have a wall here to give me an assist. You can use a stick, you can use the chair. My left foot is coming forward onto the chair. Right leg stays down on the ground. And again, I'm thinking about that posterior pelvic tilt. Squeeze, and already you should feel butt is turned on, and now I'm just leaning forward until I feel a little bit of tension in that hip flexor. So again, I can hold on to the wall, to the chair, whatever I need to maintain stability. This is the gentle version, right? And again, 3 to 5 breaths here for 3 to 5 times. It'll probably take at least 5 reps for you to really notice a significant release. And the more time you can sit in this kind of position, the more you'll notice, oh, okay, now it let go. But you gotta really be mindful and patient and be breathing, because if you're not breathing, you're probably not going to let go of anything. So, coming back, and I like to remind myself, what am I doing? What are the movements? First thing, that tuck. I want that posterior pelvic tilt, and then I push into that front knee. Kitty has the zoomies today. So I feel that here, right? You can feel it all the way down your leg, depending on how tight you are. You can have your hands at your hips. Again, you can use the wall, whatever feels comfortable to you. And now we're gonna do a little add-on. So, same thing, tuck, press forward, and I want you to think about, same side as we're working, is going to bend to the side. And come back. Same thing, pelvic tuck, press forward. I'm gonna bring my hands behind my head, and I wanna think about twisting. I'm rotating, so my elbow is in line with that knee. Come back to center, rotate the other way. Come back to center, ease off. So this is a great option if you have any kind of knee issues. Now we're going to get into the same moves, but a little bit more intense because I'm coming down onto the ground. I'm going to use a cloth, you can use a cushion or a bolster, and we're putting our knee in that same sort of position, so foot will be up on the wall and my knee will be down on the ground. So to get into this, I'm going to start on all fours, push my knee onto that bolster, push it back to wherever is comfortable for me. Hands are still down on the ground as I bring that other foot up. So I have some pretty good flexibility. I'm pretty close to this wall, right? I can lean back and put my shoulders on the wall. You may not be there, and that is totally fine. The goal is really just to get your foot up on the wall. Because already, if I'm here, I'm naturally doing a little bit of that pelvic tuck. It just has to happen to be in this position. So I feel my quads on fire, right? They're working. This is a great quad stretch. And then I also feel that release in my hip flexors. So you can stay here, right? This is a great option to just kind of hold and breathe here. And if you need to, hands come down, ease back, right? This is how you just sort of let go for a moment. Here we go, rep 2. I'm gonna come up, posterior pelvic tilt, squeeze the glutes just as much as you can, and hold here, remembering to breathe. And come down, take a moment. Now we're going to do that add-on. First, we're going to start with the side bend. So finding that position, feeling secure, because there's also a little bit of balance work here. Tuck. Same side arm, bends. Woo. And again, you're only bending as much as you feel comfortable here. And release. Let's try bending the other way. You're not going to feel as much in that hip flexor, but you do feel it all through the lateral line of the body. And this requires a lot more stability when you go in this direction. Come down, ease off. We go again. Here we are. Posterior pelvic tilt. Reach up, side bend. So I love trying new things. Even if it doesn't actually work, it's just a great awareness. You're always learning as you try things. And ease off. Whew. Coming over to the other side, just to give this, feel free to take a moment, take a breath. Just to give this side a break for a second, I'm going to come onto my left hip flexor. Left foot will go onto the wall. So starting in that sort of tabletop position, putting my knee on the cushion, sliding it back to wherever it feels comfortable. Hands are still down before I bring my foot up, okay? And then I try and get up so that my chest is up and proud, and I'm balancing here, right? Woo! Great to do this where you have something to hold on to, but you can see, maybe you can see, my foot is up against the wall. And I have even more range on this side actually, because my glutes are touching my heels, right? So I'm here, tuck, and hold. Nice deep breath. Thinking about squeezing the glutes, because if you squeeze your glutes, your quads cannot hold on as much, especially in this position. off, hands come down. You can always press forward, right? Whatever feels right for you. You don't have to hold in this position. You can do a rep, come out completely, take a moment. It's really about what is best for you today, and only you know that. Coming back up, finding that position, squeeze the glutes. If you have a timer, that's a great option as well. Because then, you don't have to think about it. You just wait for that ding. Whatever works best for you to actually get you to be doing these kinds of stretches will help release. Coming back down, take a moment. Now we're going to add on with that side bend. Here we go. Coming up. Tuck the pelvis and side bend. Whew. And release. Give myself a little more squish. Here we go. Come back into it. And tuck that pelvis, side bend. And release. Adding on that rotation. Take a moment if you like. Never hurts to take a rest, right? Just give yourself a chance to really feel how you feel today. What does my body need? So I'm here, squeezing the glutes, trying to rotate, bringing that front elbow in line with my knee. And back, other side. So because I'm up against the wall, only one arm is really going to point forward or back, right? Back to center, switch, woo. Back to center, and switch. I'm going to even myself out and do that on the other side as well. And then we'll get down on the ground for a really juicy, wonderfully delicious, feel-good stretch. So again, knee comes down on the cushion, hands are down on the ground before I bring my foot forward, and then gently rise up. Make sure you're stable, right? Oh, I did get a good release in this side because I'm so much closer to my heel now. Hands behind my head and twist. Back to center, other side. Whew. That's the one for me. Here we go again. Twist. And back to center. So by playing around and deciding side bend, rotation, which thing is really going to hit that area for me? It all depends on how you move on a daily basis and what you really need. Everybody's different, right? So it's about finding and exploring that kind of movement. So that's part of what we're doing now. We're gonna get down on the ground, on our backs. Whew, gonna feel amazing after all of that work. You can just roll yourself down, take a moment. So, one foot will be flat on the floor, the other leg will be extended, and we're gonna arch our back. I know, this is something you hear all the time in Psoas release videos. You just have to arch your back and then release, right? Yes, that works to a point. I think it's a great option. So you're arching your back. I'm gonna bring my hands behind my head I'm going to lift my knee, the extended leg, in. So it's a little bit more of a dynamic move, right? Now I'm going to extend again. This time when I arch, I want to flex that extended foot. So I'm really pulling the length of my body, right? Trying to keep the rest of my trunk centered. And now again, here we go. We're going to relax your foot, lift the knee, curl. You may feel like a little pinch in your hip flexors. That's because we're working. We're trying to get it to relax by using its opposite muscles. So finding that curve, right, that arch, you want to find the arch here, flexing that foot, and then flatten the back, curl. So this is a great option for you. I think it's a really helpful exercise that feels good, and you can slow it down to really feel, where do I feel that pinch? And after usually 5 to 10 reps, you'll notice that it relaxes a little bit and you don't feel as much of a pinch. So here we go, put 2 more here. Arch that back, flex that foot, and then curl. As I curl, my back is flat against the floor. My knee comes up. It doesn't have to touch my nose. It doesn't have to touch my arms. The goal is you're really doing a little bit of a crunch here, right? Extend long, arch, flex that foot, and curl. So now we're going to add on, right? Same kind of concept with finding rotation and bending. Now we're going to include moving the leg to the outside of the body, right? So I'm still going to arch and flex that foot to start, and then I want to drag my knee to the outside of my body to get to this crunch. Everything else is the same. It's just the knee and the foot. We're going to try and slide outward and down. Arch, flex, relax. Knee comes out to the side as I curl up. Knee falls out and down, just allowing it. It doesn't have to touch the ground. You're going to wherever you feel comfortable. Thinking about that arch and flex the foot. We've got 3 more here. And crunch. And you can make each movement sort of independent so that you start to really notice, am I feeling this in the hip flexor, or is it not really in this direction? Arch, flex that foot. Bring the knee out to the side. And right there, I can even hear a pop, right? My hips are tight enough that I have a little bit of popping. You can feel the muscle is sliding over another bone or joint that is so tight that it kind of snaps. So I definitely need to be doing more of these. Arch and flex. Outside. Curl. And back down. So we've tried that outside, we've tried in line. Now we're going to try inside. I want to bring my knee to the inside so it might touch that other leg. Try not to push your leg out of the way. Let it stay there. Foot is flat on the floor and strong. Same thing. Arch, flex the extended leg. And now I'm going to slide my knee in and across my body as I curl up. Sliding in and down. And arch. Sliding in. Ooh, definitely feel some tightness. Again, we got 3 more here. Arch. And curl. curl. So really notice it once you get into this tight position or somewhere on the way, right? In that journey of finding it. And lower down. Beautiful. Switching sides, even yourself out. Even if you only feel one side is the really tight side, do both. You never know where the problem is or where the tightness is, and you may often find that the area that hurts is just the loudest. That doesn't mean that the other side isn't actually the real problem. That's where all the real tension is, and it's just radiating out to the other side. So, same move, switching sides. I'm going to stay here so you can see how this leg sort of stays in the same place. So thinking about arching the foot, or flexing the foot, arching the back. And then you can relax and curl in. Arch, flex. Exhale, curl in. Arch and flex. Two more. Arch and flex. Last one of these. Arch and flex. And you'll notice, oh, I can arch a little more now after having done a few of these. And relax down. Going to the outside. Arch, flex that foot. Notice that I'm still in a line here when I'm doing this flex and the arch. And then I relax and pull my knee up across my body. So you see how I've just lifted the tiniest bit? I'm going to keep both sits bones down on the ground, right? If that means I'm not pulling that knee out as far, that's okay. It should relax as you do these moves, right? So you want to think about keeping both sits bones down, keeping your butt down on the ground. Arch, flex. I'm going to hold on to this hip so that it does not move as I lift and crunch, right? Because this side is trying to lift up. Lower down. Arch and flex. Okay, I think I've told it. Now it seems to get it. Arch and flex. One more. Arch and flex. Now we go to the inside, right? Bringing that knee across the body, across the midline. Maybe you scoot as you go like I did, that's fine, just readjust. So again, arch and flex. And then you're gonna relax, bring that knee in across the midline. Oh, this side doesn't like that at all. I can't even bring my knee nearly as far as I could the first time, right on my other side. Arch and flex. Bring it in and around. Definitely tight on this side. Arch, flex. Bring it in. Nice and slow. There's nowhere to get for these, right? And you do not have to hold for a long time. You just really want to take stock. Get to know how it feels when you're in that position. Arch and flex, so that as it does start to release, you have that awareness. Oh, look, my knee get a little bit farther now. And slowly lower down. Arch and flex. Inside. I can also tell that it's released a little bit because it's not like screaming the way it was for the very first rep, right? Now I don't need to have a sharp exhale. We're gonna do one more on this side just because I think I need it. And relax. Lower both legs down. Take a breath. Just kind of gently shake your legs side to side. You can bring your feet flat on the floor, walk your knees in towards your chest. Nice little circles. And the other way. And then gently bring yourself up to seated or up to standing. I'm going to come up to standing because I think that's really where you start to notice whether or not you've had a release, especially in the hips, right? All of a sudden you can tell you don't feel like, oh, this really hurts. I feel taller. I actually feel like this leg is longer now. So I still have some work to do, but these are a great start, especially with no equipment, to help work on releasing the psoas and the muscles around the psoas, because if one muscle is tight and it's holding on to something else, that muscle's probably gonna get tight if you aren't able to release it in a timely way. So everything is connected. We're just kind of working on making sure we feel better, we're able to move better. I hope this helps, and I look forward to sharing the psoas release with some equipment as well. If you want to hear about any other kinds of muscle releases, you want to see other workouts, please drop me a comment, send me a message on social media. I'd love to hear what you want to see because I love making these videos for you. Thank you so much.